getting started. Let's get underway. So tonight we're just gonna continue with our exam prep. On that also, I just saw now how your exam they say the exam is gonna be sequential, so that means you can't go to a previous question. So very important, if you've answered a question, you're not allowed to go back. And then also what will happen is you will be divided into two groups for the 26. So you will be, there's a group A that will write from 8 to 10:30, and the second group that will write from 11 to 1:30. So that will also be communicated with you guys when you will write. Okay, so let's continue and let's see the question set that we're looking at today. So again, a mix of previous exam papers. There is previous assignments that is also covered in here. So that is what we will focus on tonight. And then we will also next week, before you write exam, so we will also have sessions for Monday and for Wednesday, so that we can just make sure that you have enough time to prep a bit for the exam. Okay, so let's look at these first two questions. The focus of these two is, and it is a bit blurry because it is from a previous exam paper, but let's read through them and let's see what we need to do. Okay, 6 men and 8 women have volunteered to serve on a committee. How many different committees can be formed containing 3 men and 3 women? Okay, so we're looking here at, and both of them is on the permutation or combination questions. So permutation or combination. So when we look at 6 men and 8 women have volunteered to serve on a committee, how many different committees can be formed containing the 3 women and 3 men? Okay, so the first thing that I would want to know is, okay, does it matter if we know, or does it matter the order in which the women and men are? Because that will tell us if it is a permutation or combination. So we just need to have 3 men, no order, 3 women, no order, out of the 6 and out of the 8. So we will have 2 combinations here where we will have, let's just get the, how is it again written? I just quickly want to make sure. NCR of the men times the NCR of the women. So the men was 6, and out of the 6 we want 3, and the women was 8, and out of the 8 we also want 3. So in total there are 6 members. So I will quickly show on Excel as well, but on your calculators, there is also the NCR. So what we need to do is use that. So I get for the first one 20. I hope my calculator is now right. And then 8C3 is 56. 20 times 56, I get 1120. So I just want to use Excel as well, just to check if the calculator is correct. I will also share the spreadsheet with you so that you can also see how to use it. So let's say per new combinations, and in Excel there is a nice formula that is combination, and then all that you need to say is the numbers. So the n is 6, and how many have you chosen is 3. So there you can see, and let's make it so that you guys can use it in another setting. So I'm just gonna, so that if you need to do it, combination, then you can just change the values. So let's do that for you. So the men N was 3, R was 6, the woman N was 8, R was 3. And if we then use the combination, let's quickly check. There is the 20, and if we use the combination for the woman, that is the 56, and then for the total committee, it is those two multiplied by one another. And there you also see the 1120. Okay, so I will share this so that you guys can use it. Because what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to create a copy for the second one. So let's see question 4. Let's see what we need to do for question 4. Okay, so question 4, again blurry. A car dealer is offering any 4 of 6 special options as the same at the same price on a specifically equipped car. How many different choices of specially equipped cars do you have? Okay, so 4 out of 6. Again, it's not that they say brakes is 1 and you can then only, so there's 4, there's no order in the 4. It's not, so you can pick any 4. So that again is a combination. So you again sit with n is equal to 6, but the number of outcomes r is 4, so the combination that we have this time is 15. Okay, so again, combination, um, any 4 out of the 6 outcomes or options, and that gives us a total of 15 combinations. So again, combinations, because it's not that they said to us 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2, and so there's no ordering in this one. So because there's no ordering, it means that it is a combination. Else we will work with permutations. Okay, so again, important, nearly the difference between the two. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Also, again, one that you will definitely get is that you need to work out volume. And what we've seen is all the volume questions normally leads to you need to work out how many liters are in that volume. So again, very important nearly when we look at the concept of volume, most of the time the question is linked then to liters. Okay, so if we get to a perimeter one today and area, that is normally just work out the perimeter, how many is the perimeter in meters or centimeters or whatever. The area is normally in square meters, so your volume is in cube, but they always nearly ask you to convert that cube number into liters. So let's see what we have here. So a horizontal drinking trough for cattle is in the shape of a triangle prism. It is 6 meters long, and the cross section is in the shape of a triangle with base 30 and the height of 20 centimeters. What is the capacity of the tank? Okay, so first we need to work out volume, and volume is the area of the triangle, so half times base times height, and then we need to add that height of the triangular prism. That will give us the volume. But now very important is you need to decide, do we use meters as the measurement? Do we use centimeters? But everything needs to be the same measurement. Otherwise, we are going to make a mistake if we say 6 meters times 50 centimeters. We will make a mistake. But again, you can decide what do you want to do. If you want to take everything to meters, or if you want to take everything to centimeters. So what I normally would do is to make it as simple as possible. So as less commas and those things, because I just don't um, like to use commas and those kind of things. So we nearly know that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So 6 meter will be equal to 600 centimeters. Okay, so then at least I don't need to work with decimals or any of those things. So then we have a half base of 30, and I'm going to move this now so that we can just get everything in. The height of a triangle is 20, and then the total height of a prism is 600. So let's just this what we can. Okay, so then let me get my calculator out. So a half times 50 times 20 times 600, that gives us 180,000 centimeters to the power of 3, or cube centimeter. And then basically to work from centimeters to liters, we will need to divide by 1,000. So that would be equal to 180 liters. That looks like a lot. I just want to quickly check if that is right. I think it is. 1 liter, and let's just add it here for you guys. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 cube. Okay. 180 liters, which is option 2. Very important in this one as well. If you used the formula of base times height times a bigger height, so 20 times 50 times 600, you would have gotten 360. So just be careful again that remember volume is the triangle, so half base height, and then times the original height of the 6 meter. Okay, so that is capacity in liters. Okay, so let's go to the next one, and let's see what is the next one. So okay, so this is 4 questions. So 6, 7, 8, and 9 on stats. So there's going to be averages, there's going to be median. So I'm going to show you how to do it on Excel. Let's just quickly see. So we need to do mean, median, mode, standard deviation. So I'm going to show you how to do it in Excel, and I will show you some of the methods if you just jotted it down, and how to get to some of those answers as well. Okay, so let's quickly open our Excel again. I'm just going to say question 5 to 9. Say stats, so when you guys can remember that. Let's just make it a bit bigger. Okay, so let's read quickly the data. So suppose a company has 10 employees. Let's just say 10 employees, one earning 160,000, one earning 120,000, two earning 60,000, 1 earning 40,000 and 5 earning 52,000. And so if you now looking at this, and we don't even need to nearly be able to look at the data yet. So if I see this 1 earning that, 1 earning that, 2 earning that, 1 earning that, 5 earning that, this already tells me my mode, because the mode is the number that appears the most. So 5 is the most, so that earning amount is 32,000. So I know here was a question of the mode of 32. So we can actually do that in Excel. So if I wanted to work out the mode, there is a function mode, and I just normally always put in multiple if there's more, but that is then our mode. We can also work out the median. There's a median function and there's the mean. So, but let's first, this was the data. So if we want to work out the mean, it needs to be ordered from small to large. And then we need to say the median is the number in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that number that is in the middle here will be the median. So we could have worked it out with the function on Excel, or we could have said, but hang on, it lies between those two numbers. So then it needs to be that number plus the other number divided by 2, because it needs to be somewhere in the middle. So you can see if we use the Excel formula, or if we get the number that is in the middle of those two, we do get exactly the same. Okay, so that was the median. So let's just go back. The median we said was 36. And now let's work out the mean. So the mean is basically the average. So we can work out that average. Or we could have worked it out to say, but the mean is the sum of all of that. So we could have said it's the sum of all those numbers divided by 10, because that was how many they said. But what I normally add is just so that Excel can count it, so that if you change it, it adapts. But again, you can see the Excel measurement of working out the average gets you exactly the same if we said we're going to add all of those numbers together to get the sum of those numbers. And if we then divide it by n, we get the same number. And just also that you can see, so all four is nearly a repeat. So 30, 36, 60, 32, 40. So 40, 36, 60, 32, 40, 36, 60, 32. Okay, so for all of those three, I used the same numbers. So very easy for you also to nearly be able to make a mistake, because you work out a number and you see and you think, there it is. But sometimes when in the rush, we miss sometimes what the question was. The standard deviation is a bit more difficult to work out. So if we now needed to work out the standard deviation by hand, you needed to say that first number, so let's say 160, 160,000 minus the mean was 60, then that to a power of 2 plus the next one, so it would have been 120 minus 60 to the power of 2 plus, and then we do all of those once, so we need to go 60 minus 60 to the power of 2, 40 minus 60 to the power of 2, up until the 5 times the 32 minus 60. So a lot of calculations that we need to do. And then we still needed to say, I need to divide all of that sum by n minus 1. That will give us the variance, and get to the standard deviation. I need still to square root that. So it is really a lot of work if you needed to work out the standard deviation for this data set. Okay, so let's quickly show you the two methods in Excel. So the one again is how it would have been with a formula of the x minus the mean to the power of 2. So let's just do that quickly for you guys. And again, I am going to share this if you then want to use it for any other calculations. So you can just reuse it if you want to. I will share it on our WhatsApp group this evening. Okay, so that was the x minus mean to the power of 2. So then what we need to do is to say, and let's write the standard deviation here. So then we needed to say, okay, the sum of that divided by the count minus 1. So again, I'm just making sure you guys can use this again. And then this whole thing, we need to say, we need to square root that. Okay, so let's see if, sure, that is a massive answer. Okay, there is actually something like that, so it might be correct. So let's just quickly check standard deviation of a sample, because we're working with a sample. Again, we can only need to put that in. And if you then look at rounding it off, we get well, to the other way, we get the same. So 44,621, 44,621, comma 87. Okay, but so a big difference in, again, your time that you spent on doing it with the on paper versus if you use um, Excel for it. You also allowed to use your financial calculators. So again, with different financial calculators have have different ways of calculating it. Um, I know um, some of the cashiers and shops are actually quite nice in calculating it. The shop, I've got the HP. Yes, it is able to do it, but it's not as user friendly as some of the other calculators. And then you're allowed to use Excel as well to make the calculations. Okay, and I will share with you guys the spreadsheet later tonight when I share the presentation um, and the recording. So I will definitely. So let's just say as well, QMI prep form. Then we have. I will share it with you guys. Okay, so you can see with the stats component, very easy to get 4 questions nearly out of it. Um, so it was a mean, a median, a mode, and a standard deviation. Sometimes they put in the variance. So let's add the variance also to this for you if you need to have it. Um, then it is also done. Um, so another one to test if that is also correct. Okay. So mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, those are the critical ones that you will work with. So if needed, all of them are now on that spreadsheet that I will share. Okay, so let's go from the stats component now a bit into some other things. So around logs, around some of the sums. So this again is very similar to what we just did. It's just testing again if you know what the summation means. But let's first do the simplify. Okay, and let's just, again, this was pre-COVID, so it was a paper-based. So you can see there it should have been a bit better, but obviously the scanning of it didn't go so well. So simplified to 2 decimals, you've got and I will write it just out a bit better. You've got 8 to the power of 2 over 3, and then you have a log 2 to the power, or not to the power, log 232. Okay, so again, some of your calculators can very nicely do this. It was when you needed to hand in your exam and they marked how you got to the answer. So in the olden days, they wanted you to show your work and how you would have gone and get 8 to the power of 2 over 3. So let me quickly show you guys something. So how we would have done this is to say, but let's simplify the 8. So how do we get 8? We will say, well, 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the power of 3 will give us 8. That's actually 2 to the power of 3 over 1. And then we have the to the power of 2 over 3 in brackets outside. And then we are, as we are allowed with multiplication, you can say we can cancel those out. So with this one, we're actually sitting with 2 to the power of 2, which is equal to 4. But you can also test this on your calculator, and you can just say 8 to the power of 2 divided by 3, and you will also get 4. You can even, in Excel, we could have said, okay, but what is 8 to the power of, and let's just make this way bigger. So we could have said 8 to the power of 2 divided by 3, and you would see we will also get 4. So you are again allowed to use your calculator to work that out. We do not need to go in the process of showing this anymore. But if needed, and you want to understand, this is how we would have simplified it. Again, some of your calculators have it that you can put in log to 32. My calculator can't. So what we normally would need to do is to say, to simplify that is log 32 over log 2. And just remember, in case you're using a calculator again, on your calculator, if there's a ln, it's exactly the same as log. So you could go and say log 32 or ln 32 divided by 2 ln. That will give you 5. So 4 plus 5 will give you 9. I don't know if Excel have a, let's see if it has a ln function. So what was it, 32? So we wanted to find out ln 32 divided by ln of 2. Okay, so there we did get the 5 as well. And then it would just have been the 4 plus 5. I am going to share this as question 13. I will share this also with you, that you can see that was the log, that was the fraction nearly. I'm going to say exponential fraction, so that you guys can again use it if you want to. Because sometimes, again, my calculator is not as great as some of the others, so I needed to do it this way. So I need to break that down to get 4. I needed to break that down to get 5, and then 4 plus 5 is equal to 9, which is option 1. So again, I know some of your calculators definitely you can put in log 232 and get the answer. You don't need to for this one again. Remember, it is multiple choice. You don't need to hand in your rough work or anything like that. They will just see what you've submitted. So how you get to that answer, if it is calculator or by working it out by hand or by Excel, they just want the answer. Okay, so let's go to question 14, and the question 14 is about the sum of this formula. So they basically, and let's just rewrite it again as a bit bigger so that you all can see. So they basically asking you to work out what is the sum of I to the power of 2 when I is 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so they basically want you to work out what is the sum of I to the power of 2 when it starts at I3 and it ends at 5. Okay, so I is equal to 3, I is equal to 4, and I is equal to 5. Okay, so here we have 9 plus 16 plus 25, which is equal to 50, which is your answer. So again, they nearly test that you need to say from 3 to 5, so 3 to the power of 2 plus 4 to the power of 2 plus 5 to the power of 2. And they nearly have for each of those ones an answer. Just if you think it's just for one, then there is nearly an option for you. So again, nearly very important in this question is how they want to nearly try to catch you out, because they do give you all the individual numbers, but important that you need to add it all up from those three. Um, so not that difficult, but it is very important to remember what the rules are in this question. Okay, so let's get into the next question. Question 15. Um, so what I did, let's just make it bigger. So what I did is I just included this from the notes. And the reason was, when I looked at this question, I'm like, oh, determine the vertex. What is vertex again? That is like, I know it's in your study guide, but I was like, oh, totally forgot what vertex is. And then when I looked at our notes, the vertex is actually a turning point, which is much easier to remember. So again, they might use some of these names that you sometimes have read somewhere, but then we all call it turning point, and when we in the exam they might just bring the wording back. So vertex is the turning point. So what you need to do when they ask a question like this, um, there's no formula, so you would need to use the graph. Unless they add a formula for you, um, you need to basically try and read it off the graph. So the first one is A, so and it's always X and Y that we need to work out. So X and Y. So let's first see that turning point. The Y looks very close to 16. So let's just see which of the Y's. So remember also when we do this, it's X and Y. So that needs to be 16. Let's see, there's a 16. And so that's the only one that's 16. So that we can now actually pick already, but let's just see. So that I just roughly go and say, okay, well, that looks like between 2 and 3. So that is fine. Let's just look at the other option. 0. Okay, so that point is 0 and 7. So that's not the vertex, that's your the Y cutoff. That's definitely not your vertex, so that's your Y cutoff. So that's why that one is not correct. -1 and 0 is that point. So that's why that one again, because that's one of the X cutoffs. So that's why that can't be. And then 1 and 3. Oof, not a clue what X1 and 3 is. That's just a point in nowhere's land. So that's why that is also not correct. But let's just look at graph B. So graph B, that is your vertex. So that looks like X is 3. So let's see, okay, there it is. And that looks close to 1. So definitely correct. But let's also just look X0 and 10. So that again is your Y cutoff. So that's why that one is not correct. B7 and 0. So X7 and 0. So that again is nowhere land. And B0 and 0 is exactly there. So that's also not correct. So this was an interesting one because how they normally would ask it, or the options is not just one in A and one in B. It might be that they combine it with another point that's 3 and 16 and then something different. So just be, this one was now actually quick to, if we found A and we eliminated the others, it was actually easy to get it. But it might not be as straightforward that if you find one, you have both. So it might just be that we repeat the 3 and 16, and then you need to get the second graph as well. Okay, so that was question 15 on the vertex. So let's just see question 16 and if we need to go back. So determine the x-intercepts of each graph. Okay, x-intercept, so that one is a x-intercept, so that one was, and let's do it here, -1, so sorry, yeah, x is -1, y is 0, so that's for 1. That is question 16. And then this side, between 6 and 7, 6 and 8, we can say it's 7 and 0. So -1 and 0, 7 and 0. And then if you look at this graph, there isn't. We don't have any x cutoffs because it is lying above the x line. So for this graph, there is none. So let's see on the answers. -1, 0, 7, 0, and none. Okay, so there was also a -1, and then again, very easy to make the mistake to say, well, my one is -1 and 0, the other one is 7 and 0, but just this one refers to graph B, and that one refers to graph A. So it's the right points if both was on A, but just be careful how they split it up. Okay, so let's quickly, I'm going to just copy this component in, and then just gonna try and crop it and zoom it a bit. Let's quickly make it bigger. That I'm just gonna make a bit. Okay, so let's quickly show. So this is your first one. So there it goes through the x axis, and it goes through between -2 and 0. So it is around the x of -1. Because it goes through that x-axis, y is always 0. Okay, so x is around -1. Y will always be 0 on the x-axis. And here you see, here it comes through the x-axis again. It is between 6 and 8. So we would say, okay, well, between 6 and 8, I would look at the answers, and then close to 7 is the number that I'm looking for. Okay, so the one was -6 and 0. -1 and 0. And the other one was 7 and 0. So that is for A. Okay, then I look at B and I say, but hang on, there's nothing crossing here. So that means to me that we don't have any place where this graph is going through your x-axis. So there is none for the second one. Okay, cool. When you guys get a question like this, also it will be not as blurry. It will be visually much better. So you guys have probably seen in your assignments as well, when they give you graphs and things like that, it's really a good quality. So it's not like these old exam papers where you sometimes nearly need, like we now needed to guess nearly what is that number in between. So in your exams as well, the quality of the graphs are much better than these qualities of previous exam papers. Okay, so let's look now at this one. So last time we did the inequalities where they gave you a graph and things like that, and we needed to to work it out. This time in this one, we're working with um, again a word sum where you now need to use the word sum to set up your inequalities. Okay, so again, it's sometimes difficult when it's online to always make the connection. So what I normally do is, and you can nearly, when you get a question like this, nearly jot down the things that goes together. So let's read, and then I will just highlight. The SDF appliances has assembly plants in Mlazi and in Ilovo, where they produce a variety of kitchen appliances, including a 12-cup coffee maker and a cappuccino machine. At the Umlazi plant, 160 of the 12-cup models and 200 of the cappuccino machines can be assembled, and at the Ilovo plant, 800 of the 12 and 200 of the cappuccino machines. When they say also CDF appliances expects orders for at least 64,000 of the 12 cups and at least 40,000 of the cappuccino machines. At each plant, the number of assembly hours available for these two appliances is constrained by each plant capacity and the need to fill the orders. Let X be the number of assembly hours at Umlazi and Ulovo is Y. Okay, so what at least 64 and at least 40. So that tells me already that at least is 64,000 or more. And the other one is at least 40,000. So the minimum is 40,000, but 40,000 or more. So that already can guide me a bit in this, but okay, all of them is more, 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 more. Okay, so that doesn't help. I thought there might be something that already cancels out. Okay, so we've covered the 64 and the 40,000. So let's just see, the 64 is for the 12 cup So let's look at the 12 cups. At the Ulasi plant, 160 of the 12 cups. So at the Umlazi plant, 160 can be produced. At the Illovo plant, 800 of the 12 cup. Illovo is Y. So at the Okay, so let's now just first look at 160 plus 800 bigger than 64,000. Huh. Okay, so that one is incorrect. 180x plus 800 bigger or equal to 64. Okay, that's correct. Okay, 800y, not 160y. That one is incorrect. And that one is incorrect. Okay, so actually just by working that out, but let's just look at the 200 cappuccino machines at Umlazi. And then at Illovo, also 200 of a cappuccino machines, and here they set at least 40,000. Okay, so let's just make 100% sure. 200x plus 200y bigger or equal to 40,000. Okay, so that is again just showing here 200x plus 200y. That one was the incorrect one. 200x plus 200, that one was incorrect. So this one was actually, for that one, that was correct. Okay, so, but in total, only one that has both ones correct is option 2. Okay, so again, for you guys, when you are writing this now, where you're not able to nearly go to and highlight, I would again make notes as I write it, and I would first read it through, and then I will say, okay, so X is Umlazi, Y is Illovo. Let's read through it again, and let's just see which ones line up with Umlazi and Illovo, so that you can then make a final grid and a final comparison between the two. Okay, so that is nearly how I would nearly say to you guys how to make it a bit simpler. Okay, so let's look at the question 18 was based on this. Again, this was in the previous ways when it was not online, and then the lecturers would have worked with your answers. Now they can't, so there will be not a question like this following up, because you needed to have option 2 right to do now the next question. So they ask us in question 18, one of the extreme points of a solution space of a system of inequalities in question 17 is. Okay, so what this basically mean is that you need to check if you put in the x and the y points, if it will satisfy this equation. So you nearly need to say that is x, that is y. If I put it into the equation, will it work or will it not work? So let's quickly put X and Y into that. So let's just see what comes out of it. And I will also quickly see if there's an easier way to do it. That is now with 2 points. And they say that must be bigger or equal to 64,000. So let's just check if I multiply that out. That would have given me, wait, let me just check. I got 8,000. I don't know if that is correct, but then 800 times 150 is 120,000. Okay, so that would have given us 128. So that is much bigger. But let's just see. They want the extreme, so they want the one that has the biggest. So what I would do in this case is to say let's put in a, and we can just check what that question is again. Question 18. And let's quickly copy that over into Excel. Let's quickly see if we can work with this. Okay, so I'm gonna create for you guys just that we say that is our formula. So we have, and then we're gonna reference it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's X, that's Y. That was 50, 150, 150, 50, 100, 150, 150, 100. And we've got the formula is equal to 160 times X plus 800 times Y. Let's just put in multiplication if it doesn't pick it up. Okay, you can see that was also what I got as 128,000. So let's just do that for all of them. Okay, so now you can see 128 is the second biggest. 136,000 is the biggest, so that would be the most extreme point. But let's just also make 100% sure that it is working for the second formula. So that is again times X plus 200 times Y. So equal or foot, that is the same, so that works. 40,000, 50,000, 50,000. So okay, so all out of this. Okay, so this was the 50 and 150. So my X and Y, then that was the X and Y, then X and Y and X and Y. Okay, so the 50 and 150 is out of the answer set. Okay, so not by any other way that I could, out of that questions, suddenly see to use 50 or 150. So it is out of these options that they give us. Okay, so it's not that by fluke I can now get to that. So they could have given you numbers like 75 and 90 or all those kind of numbers as well. Um, so unfortunately, a question like this is again, there's not an easy way of getting to it. So I would have gone this route if I did not use Excel. I would have done exactly the same. So I would have gone then with the second one, put it in, see what I get. Then the third one, see what I get. The fourth one, see what I get. So, and then by what they say here, the extreme points of a solution. So the extreme points mean that that will be the highest number and that will be the highest number. So that made it the extreme point, because 136 is the highest number of those four, combined with 50, that is the highest number. Okay, so again, we can't go and say that one because also the 40 was not the highest. We can't go with option 4 because the 50 is the highest with that one, but the 104 again is not the highest. Okay, so very important, nearly, if I set in a way one of the lowest points of a solution, then it would have been option 2, where 64 was the smallest and 40 was one of the smallest. So again, nearly also important to see in context with what they nearly, so the extreme points would be then nearly the biggest. So 64 and 40 is basically where that's equal and that's equal. So the rest are all more extreme than option 2 actually. Okay, but the most extreme is option 3, because that makes that first equation of 160x plus 800y equal to 136, the most extreme, and the most extreme that the second equation can get is 50,000. So that is how we would use this one. Okay, so it is a bit different, but again, where I get the 50 and 150 is basically because that's what they have given us. Okay, so let's get to what okay, let's just get to another question. I just want to save the Excel so that I will send it to you guys afterwards. Okay, another question. So now we're going a bit into some of the financial maths again, and here they want us to work out the simple interest. So if 8,000 is invested at 6% simple interest for 9 months, find the future value of the investment. Okay, so the future value for simple interest is the present value 1 plus RT. So we know what the present value is. That is 8,000, even though it's not that clear. We know what the interest rate is 6%. And then they tell us it's for 9 months. So just remember it's 9 parts of a year, because interest rate is calculated as a yearly. So that is what we will need to work out. What I normally look at is just if any of these numbers are smaller than 8,000, none of them are, so we can't eliminate. The only reason why they sometimes have a number smaller than 8,000 is if you used the formula wrong and you used 8,000 in this space instead of the present value. So that sometimes they put in something less than 8,000 just to see if you're using the formula correctly. Okay, so let's see what this will give you. So 9 divided by 12 months is 0.75. That times 0.06 is equal to 0.045. So if I add those two together and then multiply by 8,000, I will get my answer as 8360, which is option 2. If you used not the 9 divided by 12, but just the 0.06 interest rate, then your answer would have been 8480. So just be, again, very cautious in this one, that they tell us we are working with 9 months. So that is why we use 9 months here. If we used it as a full year, there is unfortunately also an answer for you. So just, again, careful the 9 months that you use that in your formula set as well. Okay, because else, unfortunately, there is an answer for you guys. Okay, so after simple interest, there's always a compounded interest question. So if 5,000 is invested at 6% compounded daily for 5 years, sure. Find the future value of the investment. Give your answer to the nearest cent. Make the assumption that there is no leap year in this period. Okay, so again, we can jot down the compound interest formula. What I will also do is I will show this to you guys in Excel as well. So what is that? TN, sorry. So that you can see compound we can do in Excel, and compound we can also do on the financial calculator. But let's first quickly see how it will look in the formula. So the interest was 0.06 compounded daily for 5 years. So that is 5 times 365. Okay, so that, let's quickly see if my calculator can do that. 0.06 divided by 365 plus 1 to the power of 5 times 365. Okay, so I get that as 5,000 times 1,3498. Let's see if we get the answer for that. 6749.13. Sure, that one, I hate that there's something that is so close. 3749.13. So if we used the formula, that is what we get. So let me quickly show that also in Excel. So we wanted to work out the future value. So and let's just make it smaller that I can see all of them. So we have a present value of minus 5,000. We have, and now again, just how Excel think. So we have the n of 5. We've got the periods per year is daily, so that is 365. So total periods is those to multiply with one another. Then we've got our interest rate was 6%, and then our interest rate per period, in this instance again 365, so it is 6 divided by 365. And then let's quickly see future value. And the reason why I included those per periods for the 365, because they say the interest rate is the interest rate per period. So for example, use 6% divided by 4 for a quarterly payment. So here we use 6% divided by 365 for a daily. The same for the numbers per year is the total number of payment periods in the investment. So that was the 365. PMT, we don't do a payment because we only do a present payment up front. Sorry, that was wrong. It's that one. Okay, and then 6749.13. Okay, so we get exactly the same. So that was your minus 5,000. That was the number of years is 5. That was the daily occurrence. So there was 1,825 daily occurrences. That's the 6% per year. So that's your interest per day, and then that is your future value. Okay, so again, I will share this with you guys so that you have it and you can work with that. Okay, so basically, if we use the formula, we get the same answer as we have gotten in Excel. Okay, so let's, I knew there was another one about this. So let's just quickly quickly see that one. And I've got another one about cube as well, which this time actually did not go volume, but went for the cubic. So let's just, and this was out of, I think, one of the assignments last year or something like that. So the sketch above shows a rectangular picture with a frame around it. So there's the picture with some kind of wooden frame around it, and it's like a light green or light bluish color. The frame is the same with all around. Okay, so that is exactly the same length as that, exactly the same as those gaps as well. So they tell us the frame is the same with all the way around. The picture is 25 centimeters wide, 30 centimeters high. The total height of the picture and the frame is 40 centimeters. Okay, that's interesting. Let's quickly just check here. So if that is 25, that area, okay, so this is not correct. What do I say? The total height of a picture and the frame is, so that, okay, so that is 50. That's the height of a picture. That is the height of the frame. Okay, so there was the total height of the picture frame is 40 centimeters. So that height is 40 centimeters. There was a mistake in, so calculate the area of the frame without the picture. Okay, so we need to work out what is this component. Okay, so that is what we need to work out. So there are two ways that you can do that. We can work out that total, which is 40 centimeters. We will need to work out what that width is, so that we have the total thing, and then we subtract the frame component, which is 25 and 30 centimeters, so that we get our final answer. Or we can now go and say, which is the more difficult way, is to say, I want to work out this component, that area, then that will be the same, and then I add this component and I add that component. So you can do it. There's nothing wrong with it. So that will give you your frame as well. Or you can say the total minus the picture, that will also give you the frame. Okay, so you can in the end decide which way you want to go. I'm going for, let's work out the total. So I've got the 40 as the length. They told us that the frame is the same width all the way. So if that is 30, that is 40. This side plus this one will be 10 centimeters. And if those two are the same, it must be 5 centimeters. So then you see 5 plus 30 plus 5 is 40. Okay, so that is actually quite nice. It worked out. But they said it's the same way all around. So 5 plus 25 plus 5 is 35. So now I have that length or width and length. So that is 35 times 40 is 1,400. There is that option. And 20 times 50 is 750. There is that option again. And if we subtract the two, 1,400 minus 750, we will get 650 centimeters, which is option 1. Okay, so the total frame with the picture would have been 1,400. The picture on its own is 750. So then the frame component is the rest, which is the 650. Okay, so let's, just for interest's sake, let's quickly check. So if we set that is 5, then it is 5 times 35. Let's quickly see. 5 times 35 is 175. So we have two of them of 175. So that would have been that one and that component. Then we will also need to get this one. So that would have been 50 times, again, 5. That is what, 150. And that is, again, times 2, so 150. So if you add all of them together, 175 plus 175 is 350. That's 300. So you will also get the 750 if you have done those smaller pieces. So again, both of them work. It is just absolutely what you are most comfortable with. I like the one where you look at the bigger one, you subtract the picture, and then you get the rest. But you could have also broken it up into the 4 pieces, and you will get exactly the same answer. So again, nearly use what method you like, because in the end, you will get you will get the same answers. Okay, then the last one for tonight. So let's okay, so let's get the last one. So find the volume in millimeters of a cube with sides that the length of 3 centimeters. Okay, so 3 centimeters. Um, First, let's convert to millimeters. Okay, so then millimeters, now we want to find volume. So volume of a cube is length times breadth times height. So that's then 50 times 50 times 50. Okay, and that then gonna use calculator. 50 times 50, it's 900 times 50 is 27,000. Okay, which is option 2. And again, the reason why I changed it already at the beginning is if you then say, if you didn't and you just say 3 times 3 times 3, you might pick option 1. If you actually set, how do you get to that? If you set 50 times 50, it's 900. Okay, so if you maybe set plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, you might get 9, and then if you multiply by 1,000, you might get the 9,000. Okay, but first get move from millimeters to centimeters, and then from millimeters we do the cube, so that we can get it. Okay, so that is how we will get this one. So length times breadth times height is 27,000, and that then is the volume. Okay, guys, thanks for joining. I will share the recording with you guys tonight. I will share